Hello and welcome to Mad About Sports for yet another team preview of the World Cup. Today, we're going to be talking about a team who has been traditional underachievers of the World Cup. Now, when we talk about this team, we always feel like they've come close. They've had some of the best squads over the years, but never quite achieved what they should have achieved. We're talking about South Africa, a nation who prides themselves in playing really good cricket, who have had some of the most impressive teams in World Cup history, but never got into a World Cup final, or neither have they never gotten that silverware because they never got into a World Cup final, obviously. It's tough for the starters. But more than everything, a team which is loved by many, always high expectations before every World Cup from 92 to 2019. They've always started as some of the best squads in the World Cup. Let's talk about 92 World Cup, where they had to go down cheaply in the semi-final, or 2003 for that matter, or 99 when Herschel Gibbs dropped Steve Waugh. Maybe Steve Waugh apparently went on to say you dropped the World Cup, but that's been South Africa's story in the World Cup. Never quite achieved what he could have possibly achieved. Or talk about 2015, where a South African-born Grant Elliott takes this team out of the World Cup by smashing one of the world's best bowlers of that time in Dale Steyn. Or talk about 2019 World Cup, when they possibly looked like a good squad but faltered badly. It's always been the case of South Africa that they come very close but never quite achieve what they should possibly achieve. But is this the year for South Africa or not? Let's find out. Now, talking about South African team, you can say this time around they've got the possible goods in this team. They've got good amount of balance in this team, covered with good amount of players who have done well leading into this World Cup. And to talk about which, they've got a captain who's been scoring runs as well. Now, when we talk about Temba Bavuma, it's his team at this point. He's really respect with his performances in the one day format. Now, before the T20 World Cup last year, there were certain questions, not just in the media, even back in South Africa, as to whether Temba Bavuma should be captaining the team because he was not definitely a starter for this team because his performance with the bat was extremely mediocre and it was below par, which did not help the cause of South Africa. And hence, they had a poor World Cup. They were crashed out in the group stage. Here, once again, when we talk about Temba Bavuma, he's been a player who scored a lot of runs for South Africa this time around. This year, especially, striking at 106, averaging close to 47. And not to add to all that, has been captaining the team beautifully as well. Just won a series against Australia, coming back after having a deficit of 2-0 in the series, coming back to win it 3-2. And they've got some match winners in this team as well. Now, let's look at the South African team to start over with because that's the first and the most important thing to start over with. Because let's look at the squad. Now, what really has happened to this team before the World Cup? The biggest and the most upsetting news what they've gotten before the World Cup in itself is Onvik Nokia, who has been their star paceman, has been ruled out of this World Cup. Now, if you look at Onvik Nokia, he's been a massive, massive factor in this team. Alongside Rabada, you can talk about Ilungi and Giri, Keshomara, Tabari Shamsi. But then that bowling unit of five, which includes Rabada, Shamsi, you talk about then you talk about Onvik Nokia, Keshav Maharaj. They've been instrumental for South Africa, and they've had a lot of success for South Africa as well. But when you talk about Onvik Nokia, he's been ruler of the World Cup, so that is now to be left behind. And let's look ahead. Now you see the second name on the list if you look at the squad. That's Gerald Coetzee. Now, what's it about this guy? This guy could be the player who could replace Onvik Nokia in this tournament. Now, at the start of this tournament, or if we talk about the start of the year, nobody really talked about Javal Koidze as much. But with his performances in the SA20 and with his performances, what he's done with South Africa and the limited opportunities he's gotten before the World Cup, it's gotten everybody's eye. He's got the pace, he's got consistency, he's got that X factorness with that rapidness which is gotten off the surfaces, and he's gone on to break Travis Head's hand as well. So that's where Joel Coetzee could be a factor to look on to for South Africa to replace Onvik Nokia. Then obviously they've got Quinton de Kock. He's dropped a bombshell right before the World Cup saying that he's going to be playing his last one-day tournament and he's going to be retiring from the one-day format right after this. So obviously it's a massive tournament for him. Now if you talk about Quinton de Kock, another massive underachiever, you can say so. Always came close to doing well in almost a lot of World Cups, but never quite done well. Never quite owned the World Cup, you can say so. Now, playing in Indian conditions, Quinton de Kock will really fancy his chances for two reasons. He's played a lot of cricket in India in the recent past, in the last 4 or 5 years, and to add to that, this could be his World Cup to prove a point. Now, if you talk about 2015 World Cup, came in as a youngster, couldn't really deliver there much, was there in good in patches, but not really his World Cup, you can say so. 2019 World Cup, disappointing. And all the T20 World Cups which has gone by, disappointing. This could possibly be the time for Quinton de Kock. There are a lot of reasons why. He's always been the player who's always looked on to as the blue-eyed boy of South African cricket. After that generation of Faf du Plessis, AB de Villiers, Hashim Amla, you always wanted a player to deliver. He was part of that generation as well. Now, as the baton was shifted on, Quinton de Kock was the player to look on for. He was given the captaincy, didn't quite enjoy it, was retired from Test cricket earlier on. Not quite like whatever has gone in the dressing room with him and the management. So this is the World Cup for him to prove a point, and hence this could be his time as well. This is a massive World Cup for him. Now, when we talk about other players in the list, now if you look at the top four or top five, what South Africa could possibly line up like, it could be Temba Bavuma, Quinton de Kock, Wussi van der Dussen, Aiden Markram. Now, when we talk about Wussi van der Dussen and Aiden Markram, now if they are two massive players in this team as well. Rassi van Dusen especially. Now, why do we talk about him? Now, what does he bring into the fore? Rassi van Dusen is one player who can give them solidity and at the same time can play spin well, extremely well in these Asian conditions. Because got a good sweep up his sleeve, can use his feet well against spin, and is solid against pace at all times. So he could be a massive factor for this team, especially batting at number three and Aiden Markram at four. Now, we talk about 2019 World Cup, not quite there. Very young Aiden Markram you saw there, and he was not really part of the setup at all. Now, when we talk about the 2021 T20 World Cup or 2020 T20 World Cup, saw patches of what Aiden Markram can do, but wasn't there again once again. This could be his first major tournament in a format which he quite enjoys playing, you can say. He's done well here and there. So this could be his time to own himself. He's already been named the captain of the IPL franchise, won SA20 with Sunrisers Eastern Cape, has gotten responsibility at a very young age. He's the only player from South Africa, the only captain from South Africa to win an ICC tournament when he won the Under 19 World Cup way back in 2014. You can say Aiden Markram and the South African team will have a lot of expectation from him as well. Aiden Markram, for him, it's another tournament where he has to step up. Same as we spoke about Quinton de Kock, Aiden Markram has really shown the world he can do in glimpses, but it's time for him to really step up in a big tournament like this and maybe send out statements saying that this is what he can do and this could be his World Cup. Because considering the fact that he plays spin well, he's solid in the middle overs, and can ball a little bit of overs as well. He's a complete package, and it's looked on to as a future captain. And at number five in this team is a player which everybody is talking about. He is a flavor of the season. It is Hendrik Klaasen. Phenomenal IPL, mega star in the making. This could be his tournament. He's already shown what he can do way back in South Africa with that knock which he played against Australia by scoring 170 odd. And here he is, one of the best players who spin in the world, can take down any bowling attack on his day. This could possibly be Hendrik Klaasen's World Cup. He could be the player to watch out for in this World Cup, and he's that X factor player in the middle order. Him coming in number five, number six for this team really opens up a player who really can turn a match on its head, and this could be a reason why South Africa will really fancy the chances of making it to the top four. And then you have a David Miller who has been doing exceedingly well in the last 2 years. In the IPL, he did well as a finisher for South Africa. When you talk about that partnership between Hendrik Klaasen and David Miller, recent past, they both have been complementing each other. So David Miller at six, Hendrik Klaasen at five. These both will be the X factor players of the South African team to take them to the next level and maybe give them the chance to qualify into the semi-final. Then it's on that particular day, because we don't want to be giving expectations that this is South Africa's year to win a World Cup, because that quite doesn't happen with any team in this World Cup, because could be one of the most exciting and the most unpredictable World Cup for a lot of reasons. Now, when we talk about number seven, that is where they're going to have the biggest conundrum. Now, we'll talk about the matches where they're going to be playing. Now, they have options at number seven, Marco Jansen and Lefeklo Kwayo, and then Tabre Shamsi, who I don't think will be used as an option at number seven because of various reasons. Number one, He is a player who fancies batting number 8 at least. He's not a player who's going to go out there and say that, okay, give me the bat in hand, he can score all what he can do. But then the question is, who's going to bat number 7 for them? If you look at the squad, they've got the players to go out there and do a job for them. They've got various options there. Number one, to start off with, who do they have at number 7? They have Feklu Kwayo, who can do bits and pieces with bat and ball in hand, can bowl 7 overs with the ball, can give you a good 25-30 runs. And then you have Marco Jansen. So combination of Marco Jansen and Feklu Kwayo could be good at number 7, number 8. Marco Jansen is a sure starter with this team because with no Andre Nokia, they would want a left arm angle at least to bring in somewhat of variety. And that's where Marco Jansen, alongside Feklukwayo at 7 and 8, will be phenomenal, will be an important facet to this team. Now, South Africa will be playing a lot of their games in conditions, right, which are going to be spin friendly. Now, let's talk about some of the games which are going to be. They're going to be opening their first game against Sri Lanka. South Africa will play Sri Lanka first up. That is a big game for them. And they'll be starting off that in Arun Jaitley Stadium. And that's a very interesting venue to start off with because, number one, we'll talk about Arun Jaitley Stadium in itself. Interesting venue. Do not know what the pitch you're going to get there. Number two, they're going to be playing Australia in Ekana Stadium in Lucknow. Now, they did play a one-day international last year in Ekana Stadium in Lucknow. You saw how much it really helped their spinners. Tabrez Shamsi, Keshav Maharaj, and even for the pacers up front, it provided a lot of assistance. So we do not know what to expect from an Ekana Stadium venue. If it's a red soil wicket with a little bit of grass there, and underneath it, if it's dry, the spin is going to come into handy, and that's where Tabrez Shamsi and Keshav Maharaj is going to be at their best. And that's where it's going to be very interesting. If you look at the recent past as well, they both have been very instrumental in South Africa's success in making them qualify into the World Cup and not make them play the qualifiers. Number one to start off with. But yeah, if you look at that series which they played in India, they were very underwhelming. They went on to win one of the matches. They were very underwhelming with some of their performances here and there. And that's where, once again, on conditions which is going to aid spin, how South Africa going to go about it. They've got the players to do it, but can they deliver it in bigger occasions? Now, that's been the story of South Africa over the years. They've always had the players, but not quite to go out there and deliver in bigger occasions. Then South Africa definitely plays Netherlands. That's going to be an easy fixture for them. And they're going to be playing in Dharamshala. Up top in Dharamshala, where the ball is going to move around a little bit, where they're going to have a lot of assistance from the Pacers. It's going to be 2 wicket, not going to turn a lot. That's where I think they're going to be at their best. They're going to really fancy their chances playing in conditions like that. And they're going to be playing in Wankhede against England. As I mentioned in the English team preview as well, that's a game which can go either way. It's a 50-50 game. With Wankhede, there'll be a lot of assistance for Pacers under lights and even up front with the sea nearby. If the pitch is moist, you're going to see a lot of movement. So Rabada there, or let it be Marco Jansen, or let it be for the matter, whoever balls, Lungi and Kiri, anybody who's going to have a new ball in hand will enjoy bowling there. At the same time, for batters as well, like so what Rassi Anderson or Henrik Klaassen, or for the matter, like so Aiden Markham will really enjoy batting in Wankhede. England versus South Africa is going to be a contest to watch out for. But more than everything, the game is going to be very important for South Africa as well. Get off to a good start in this tournament. Then they play Bangladesh. They play Bangladesh in a very interesting venue because they play Bangladesh in Wankhede as well. Because that's where I think they can neutralize the threat what Bangladesh will possess with the spin. Because it's not going to turn a lot in the Wankhede Stadium. And that's where they'll fancy the chance against Bangladesh in Wankhede more than any other ground. But the biggest game of them, the biggest test for them, will come up against Pakistan in Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. Now, you can talk about everything. By then, it's the last game of the tournament in Chennai. By then, Chennai would have had enough games on that surface, and the pitch might just turn a little bit. But now, considering Pakistan will not have a lot of good spinners in this tournament, and South Africa will have Tabrez Shamsi, Keshav Maharaj, and for South Africa, they will have to rely on the hopes of the players of Henrik Klaassen, David Miller, or for the matter, Rassi Anderson to really step up in that game because that's going to be a very important game for South Africa. South Africa will really fancy the chances this time around on that surface against Pakistan more than other time because Pakistan, with their lack of spinners, them not having variety in their bowling attack, and South Africa having that X factorness with Tabrez Shamsi, Keshav Maharaj, and talk about the likes of Aiden Markram chipping with the ball, and then you have good players who spin there. This could be a mouth-watering contest, and that could be a very important game for them as well. Because after that, they play Afghanistan as well at a very interesting venue because then they play Afghanistan in a game in Ahmedabad, because Ahmedabad, once again, it's going to be flatter surface. You're going to get best, or they're gonna possibly see the best of South Africa there. They will not really mind playing Afghanistan in Ahmedabad, because that's one surface they really fancy their chances, because of them not having to face spin threat of Afghanistan. Because if they're playing Afghanistan either in Chennai or conditions like Khana, that would have been challenging. But then they play New Zealand in Pune, and then in India at Eden Gardens. Interesting fixture there, because India at Eden Gardens, because with Eden Gardens, it's one of the fastest pitches in India at this point. The ball does move around. They'll fancy their chance against India and Eden Gardens as well. So that's South Africa's fixture. Let's to talk off with. But let's find their combination. Now we speak about the top six. Number 7 could be Fekler Kwai, Marco Jansen. Number 8 and 9. This is very interesting. 9 and 10 rather. If they're going with two spinners on good days, they could possibly go in with Tabri Shamsi and Keshav Maharaj, but they would want to play three pacers. That is where I have a slight feeling that they might not play Fekler Kwayo. They play Marco Jansen 7, Keshav Maharaj 8, 9 Tabri Shamsi, or 9 Rabada rather. Then at 10, they might just go in with Jalal Khoitse, and 11, they'll go with Tabre Shamsi. Now, that is going to be an interesting South African team for the matter. They'll go and back their strong forte, which is to go in with pace, and have two quality spinner in Keshav Maharaj, and then have a decent enough bowler who can come in and chip in overs with the spin bowling as well with Aiden Markram. So they've got Tabre Shamsi, Keshav Maharaj, Aiden Markram, the ball spin, and three pacers with Marco Jansen, Rabada, and Joel Koitse. I know very tempted. There's a lot of temptation to go Lungi and Giri, which they might do it as well. But Joel Koitse could be a weapon they can unleash in this World Cup. And if he has a good World Cup, he could be that surprise package who can really help South Africa. Now let's rate this squad, right? Are they a World Cup top 4 team? We can give them a 40% chance to qualify into the top 4. Now, why? Because they've got a lot of X factorness about this team, and it's a 7.5 on 10 squad. If I have to really rate the squad, if they had an Andre Nokia, you could have said this team would have been a good 8.5. But the Andre Nokia's mess is going to be massive for them. And one major factor with South Africa always has been how they perform in these big moments. Does spin trouble them? Because they're all a good players who spin, but under pressure, all of a sudden they might just falter there or here. So with South Africa, there's always a volatility or attached with it. They've always been volatile with their squads, or historically look good on paper but doesn't quite deliver. Can this be the year to deliver for them? Do let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel as well. If you did like this preview, we'll be coming back on more of these previews in the coming days. And to add to that, do check out our courses with Mad About Sports if you're an aspiring analyst looking to make your baby foot in the journey of analytics and numbers and calling it shots from the dugout. Take care and see you all very soon. Bye bye.